Take projection.
It's Friday morning, and you know what that means? It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And I want to start off by saying, if you don't already, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Alabama Slam Pod. You can also follow us on Facebook. Just look up the Alabama Slam podcast, and be sure to follow our network of fellow podcasters and writers at the Alabama Take, thealabamatake.com, or you can find the Alabama Take on any social media network at the Alabama Take. So let's get into it. Had a fun week of wrestling. I got a little kick out of several things that happened this week. I know I've been kind of poo-pooing some things that have been going on lately with WWE and AEW. So let's start off. Well, before we get into Backlash, real quick, I know you said you didn't get to see Rampage, or did you see? I can't remember. I feel like I texted you about it, and you said you didn't see it.
I think I watched it. You talk about Vikingo?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's, because I think you just texted me and was like, holy shit, are you watching this? And, listeners probably know I hardly ever get a chance to watch any of this stuff live, having two kids that have full dominion of the television. For, I guess, the foreseeable future. I guess that's just part of adulthood that, you just don't get to watch any of your shows anymore. It's just all Miss Rachel and Bluey. Anyway, so late at night.
Bed, son.
Yeah, our kids are night owls. Probably bad parenting. We're probably just bad parents. So, yeah, I had a couple drinks and watched I watched Friday Night SmackDown last week and Rampage together. And yeah, Vikingo continues his American run where he is just astonishing audiences with his aerial moves. I mean, the dude's special, man. I don't know what else to say about him. He is just the creativity too. I think that's the biggest thing. It's one thing to be able to athletically do the moves, and obviously he's off the charts in that aspect. But just creatively, to just be in a ring and to look at the four sides of it, four corners, and to be like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. That's a big part of it too, that, he's at the top of his game right now, and really is doing some things that we have not seen inside a wrestling ring before, which is impressive when you think about the history that not only wrestling here in America has, but Lucha Libre in Mexico as well. And he comes out of that tradition. It reminds me a lot of like early ECW, when you had guys like Super Crazy and Rey Mysterio and the luchadors that would come through there that would just putting on these bonkers ass matches with these crazy moves that American audiences hadn't seen before. And Vikingo's doing the same thing. He seems to be a bigger deal. Well, I shouldn't say that because we're not in Mexico. I don't know. It just feels like when I watch him on YouTube and stuff, all the clips are from stuff he's doing here in America and nothing he's doing in Mexico, which is kind of crazy to think about considering he's like the AAA mega champion.
Yeah, that is weird. But yeah, that was some good shit. I wanted to touch on that real quick before we move into Backlash. For time reasons, and a number of things happening over the weekend, didn't get to see all of Backlash. So I'm going to let you touch on the first three matches real quick before we get into some of the later ones. But just briefly what we discussed before we started recording, I might need to go back and watch the first match with Bianca Belair versus Io Sky.
Yeah, so the surprising thing was, Bianca was cheered massively Friday night. And then Saturday, I don't know what happened in between in that 24-hour period. That crowd was 80% Io Sky, 85% Io Sky maybe. I don't know why that was. I mean, Io Sky is incredible, and she showed she kind of had she was unhinged or unchained a little bit in this match, where you can kind of see the potential that this woman has and the kind of matches she can put on when they just let her go out there and go to work. Great chemistry with Bianca Belair too, by the way. But yeah, that crowd was really, really behind Io. And it kind of made me think for the first time, and I know that she's been compared to him before, but this was the first time where it really felt like, okay, Bianca is just like the female John Cena, and this has the potential now to kind of get a little bit stale. And I think that could be what the fans were responding to
Hmm.
Saturday night. Um, I don't know if that if you just chalk it up to you're in a different place and the crowd is just hyped and they're going to do whatever they want to do, and one person in their section starts cheering for EO, and because everybody's so hyped to be there, everybody starts cheering for. I don't know. I don't know if it's in a canary in a coal mine type of situation where this is the first kind of massive crowd that has not been on Bianca's side. And we've talked about on this podcast before how important television crowds are,
Yeah.
because they kind of they set precedents for fans at home. The next people that pack an arena, are they going to be behind Bianca? Or are they going to be behind her challenger? I don't know. It's something to see. I really don't know what you do with damage control at this point. This is now the second time that Bianca has just beaten all of them pretty handily. Now, this is the first time where in this match you kind of saw a little bit of dissension, and they've been playing that up with Io against Bailey and Dakota. So who knows if we'll see something there? But yeah, it was a surprising crowd reaction.
Interesting.
For this match. Good match though. I enjoyed it.
So, do you think it was like the quality of the wrestling that was putting her over, or do you think did it just start out that way?
It started out from the get go.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she didn't win the fans over. The match started and they were just on her side. There was an EO chant that broke out. I don't know. Could it be something as simple as EO Sky doesn't. She's not a native English speaker. The people in Puerto Rico aren't native English speakers. Is there some kind of connection like that? I mean, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I really don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why they got behind her the way that they did. But she showed up and she showed out. And, there's a couple people on this pay-per-view card that we'll talk about. I think Io Sky is one of them. Damian Priest coming up as another person who really – got an opportunity, and I think if I was management in WWE, it would make me look at them a different kind of way based on their performance in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. So what about Omos versus Seth Rollins?
I mean, it was fine. I mean, we kind of knew Seth Rollins was going to win.
Yeah. And about what you expected by calling it fine, like, nobody's really expecting much out of this one.
Here's the thing, though, and I know that they've used Omos this way before, because if I'm not mistaken, and I wasn't watching WWE at this time, but was he not the heater for AJ Styles during AJ Styles' championship run?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way to use Omos, is you pair him up with somebody who's already an established main event star, a heel, preferably, and you just have Omos be the heater. That's how Kevin Nash got over. He was the heater for Shawn Michaels. Because I do think there's potential in Omos. You can't teach being however fucking tall he is, 7'1".
Yeah.
Like that's nothing you can teach. And he does have a presence about him and a gravitas, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do with him. If I was in the writing room, I would just pitch, hey, let's have him go back to being the heater for somebody.
Yeah.
I know we've done it before, but let's try to do it again. Let's try to get a little bit more seasoning on this guy, because, he does have potential, and we've talked about it again on this podcast. He does move YouTube numbers.
Yeah, that's insane to me.
The YouTube people love Omos. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's folks around the world or whatever it is, but he is, obviously he's Nigerian, and we know how connected the people of Africa are when it comes to like supporting one of their own out there and stuff, right? So maybe it's just something as simple as that. But yeah, there's potential with that guy. I think you just have to try to keep figuring it out. And look, it's cool that he keeps getting in these matches. Now he keeps losing, but there is a bunch of utility in putting him in the ring with a guy like Seth Rollins or a guy like Brock Lesnar, because it does. You are hoping that even in defeat he gets a little bit of rub, but again, if you're going to book this guy like a monster, he's got to start running through some folks.
Yeah. Well, what about Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed versus Bobby Lashley?
This was good too. I like this match a lot too. I thought Bronson looked really good in it. Bobby looked really good in it. And obviously, Austin Theory, and the way they booked it, him being able to kind of sneak out with a win yet again. I know that we've compared Austin Theory to John Cena quite a bit, and the comparisons are there, right? Being the chosen one from management and that kind of stuff. And I know he's been athletic, and I know I've commented on this before, but I don't know why Saturday I was just watching this dude's athleticism, being like, my God, is he more closer to like Shawn Michaels than he is John Cena? Like his ability to bump and jump in the ring and be as big as what he is, it's it's crazy. It's crazy how talented this dude is at such a young age. John Cena never wishes he had this kind of athleticism that Austin Theory has. Uh, but yeah, this was a great showing from everybody involved, and we'll see now. Austin Theory, I believe, will now take his talents to SmackDown. Isn't that right? In the U.S. title.
Yeah, I think he got drafted over there.
Yeah, so we'll see if there's any kind of new feuds that pop up over there. A good spot for him. SmackDown is the bigger show, just ratings wise. So the company has a lot of stock in him, and for good reason.
So what do they do with the belts? Because I think we talked about this briefly last week. The fact that Bianca and Rhea basically traded shows, but they brought the belts to the other shows.
Yeah, I don't know because that's the only one. The women's championship is the only one where that's a problem, right? Because it's specific to a brand.
Right.
So I don't know. I didn't get a chance to watch Monday Night Raw. Did they bring that up at all?
Not that I remember.
So maybe they're saving it. I don't know. I mean, you could just have them. I would just have them swap it.
Yeah.
Really, and then play up the whole we are the two biggest women, the best women on this roster, and maybe our paths will cross at some point. And just know that when they do, I'm going to beat you. You can have Bianca say that and Rhea say that, whatever. I mean, they're the two. They're the future of that division, as Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Bayley and all those women get up there in age. Rhea, I think, is 26.
Yeah.
Like it's wild to think about how young she is and how good she is already.
Yeah.
And how much star power she has. So, they'll probably do some kind of title swap. I get not doing it Monday night straight off of Backlash.
Sure.
When you have the Night of Champions tournament that's going on Monday Night Raw, like a Rhea Ripley Bianca championship title switch program or whatever segment would, probably be better suited to a show that doesn't have a lot of stuff already going on. So you can kind of let it breathe a little bit.
So speaking of Rhea Ripley, the next match at Backlash was her versus Zelina Vega, and I'm not a Zelina Vega fan by any means, but your boy got a little emotional at her entrance. I thought her gear was awesome, and I liked the way that she had the flag, when she held her arms outstretched, but like just her reaction to the crowd, I was like, good Lord, this is making me tear up just a tad. Like, I just thought it was awesome, to see her get that sort of response. The match was fine. There were a couple of good moments in it, but it went like it should have. But I thought it was pretty cool to see her get a spotlight down there like that and get the reaction that she did.
Yeah, and she got it before the match and after the match. That was the biggest thing too. And since we're right here, like let's mention this crowd and do a couple minutes on it. This crowd was insane.
Yeah.
There is nothing like the WWE product being in front of a crowd that's that hyped. It has a level of excitement and electricity that I don't think anything the NFL does or the NBA or baseball or any kind of sports or sports-esque organization in the world even comes close to.
Yeah, it was crazy because like I kept looking at it in terms of like the entrances, because the entrances were scaled down. They had a little tiny like screen behind him and a little walkway, because I was like, you could have built a big stage and taken up more of the arena, but like that would have deadened the crowd because it was 18,000 people there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you would have had to have eliminated several thousand seats to do a larger stage. And yeah, I don't know. It was just awesome to see. I thought it was great. They made the most of their entrances in that small entranceway. But yeah, the crowd was a major character almost, really, when you talk about the show and their involvement.
yeah. And I actually liked the scaled down set because it made it feel more intimate.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like the guardrails were closer in too. Like everybody was just packed in there so much. Uh, and yeah, man, shout out to the WWE broadcast team too. I know we get into the weeds with this kind of shit, based off our backgrounds and stuff like that. But like, and I know probably what I'm about to say is like real nerdy, but like the WWE production team is like world class. And I felt like both Friday and Saturday night they were on some like MJ 1996 type of shit where they're just like, there's nobody that can touch us from a production standpoint. Like the fucking pyro, the music, the sets. Like, think about this. Like, even at the Super Bowl, right? At the halftime show, the NFL gets literally a year to prepare for all of that. WWE does that on a weekly basis
Mm-hmm.
around not even around the country, around the world. And like, their ability, like I said, when they get in front of a hyped crowd, it explodes through the screen, and they do such a good job at like just making moments feel special. And I know we'll get to it here in just a second, but like the Bad Bunny entrance Saturday night, holy
Yeah.
shit!
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else that you can find on television that has that level of of
Yeah.
excitement.
I only made a handful of notes that night, and like the crowd reaction to Zelina's entrance was one, and like how awesome I thought her gear was, and then it says Bad Bunny entrance is great. Loved that the hallway shot from behind him when he walked out, like how they basically followed him out, and so everybody else is like you see them coming toward the camera, and they followed him out. I thought it was awesome the way it was like backlit or front lit, really, I guess.
Yeah, and then it was the drone.
Yeah.
So that it takes up over the crowd, and you just see just a mass of people who are all singing along and bouncing up and down to his entrance. I don't want to be like recency bias guy here. I'm not so sure that Bad Bunny entrance at Backlash is not the best damn entrance in all of professional wrestling history. Like seriously, like that level of like just crowd noise at like a
Mm-hmm.
deafening level mixed with like the
Production.
WWE production, yeah. And he pays homage to New Jack and Sandman with the cart, and just like Michael Cole doing just a fantastic job. Him and Corey Graves talking about the history of Puerto Rican wrestling and the appetite that those fans down there have had for hardcore wrestling. It was just, all of it was just outstanding. And that was the big thing when I was watching Saturday night. I was like, the fucking production of these shows is just on another level, and
Yeah.
there's nothing in the world that touches them. There's not even really anything that comes close, like
Yeah.
like Tuscaloosa will pack 100,000 people into a stadium for like a big football game. Like, yeah, you can kind of get amped, but like that's 100,000 people. And what happened Saturday was 18,000, and the level of hypeness was like, I don't know, surpassed anything that I've really ever seen before.
Yeah. I I mean, we could get on into the match too. I thought that he and Damian Priest stole the show that night.
Yeah, seeing the main event, and we'll talk about this too. I understand why they wanted Brock and Cody to go on last, just because of what was going to happen in that match. But this was the show. I
Yeah.
mean, Bad Bunny looked, first of all, he looked like he was in phenomenal shape. Um, and Damian Priest, shout out to him. And I know reports coming out of this weekend were like, oh, he really showed out, and upper management now sees him as a main event level player. I think that's spot on. I think this dude he's got a look. He's a great promo. Obviously, he's physically intimidating with how big he is. He was selling his ass off for Bad Bunny. For Bad Bunny to be a touring artist and to not be a full-time wrestler, even a part-time wrestler. I mean, shit, he does this a couple times a year at
Mm-hmm.
max, right? They had no hiccups in the match whatsoever, and that really is a testament to the producers behind the scenes who produced this match, but also to Damian Priest, because he's the one that's calling it out there in the ring. And
Right.
so to be able to pull your dance partner along like that, and for the two of those guys to go out and perform the way they did, was just absolutely exceptional. And yeah, Damian should have he should get more opportunities going forward. And I think this was the perfect use of Backlash too. Like we talked about a couple podcasts ago, the sort of post WrestleMania malaise. And I think that what Backlash demonstrated this past weekend was just like, hey, we have an opportunity here to give opportunities to other people, like a Damian Priest, like a Selena Vega, to kind of put them in these big time situations up against some of our top stars when we're trying to save, outside of probably Brock and Cody and obviously the Usos and Sami Zayn. None of these other people who wrestled anybody are going to have long term programs with each other. Selena and Rhea was a one off.
Mm-hmm.
And Bad Bunny, that's a one off. But you made special moments in light of that, and you gave people opportunities to kind of see what they could do when they have the ball in their hands. We bring it back to sports all the time like that, giving people opportunities, putting them in bright lights, and see how they respond. And I think Damian Priest knocked it out of the park. And then holy shit, the Carlito pop. That man, that sounded like Stone Cold Steve Austin in the Attitude Era coming out.
Yeah, they went fucking wild.
Yeah, and so I love too just the celebration of Puerto Rican wrestling with Savio Vega and Carlito. Carlito looks like he should still be in WWE, and maybe he will be. I don't know. I know he came back a couple of years ago in the Thunderdome. Carlito's always been a guy that I've really liked. He had a cool gimmick. He had an awesome finishing move that nobody was really doing before. And now everybody kind of does it. But when he was doing it, it was the first time I'd ever seen it. So it was cool for him to get that moment to come back in front of that rabid fan base. And then again, Savio Vega, like I love when WWE and wrestling just in general pays tribute to those who have come before it. And so it was cool to have him to have that moment too.
Yeah.
And even the production in that element, right? The fact that they didn't miss anything, it's happening in the aisle. Like everybody hits their spots perfectly. Like the camera cuts perfectly to Finn Balor at the point where he throws his hands up, says "fuck it," and starts turning around. Salvio Vega's music hits. Like it's just, it's so impressive week in and week out.
Yeah, props to the director and the technical director for that because there's a lot happening. A lot could go wrong.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, good stuff. I mean, I said that they stole the show, and I think when you look back on Backlash, that match is probably the one that most people will remember, I would think.
100%. Yeah, it's going to be this one.
Yeah. So up next was the Usos and Solo Sikoa versus Riddle, Zayn, and Owens. It was fine. It's kind of hard, like placement wise. It was a little weird being after Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. Anything after Bad Bunny and Damian Priest for me was like, oh, okay, well, this was cool, I guess. What would you think?
Yeah, it was a tough spot for him. I thought the match was fine. Obviously, the biggest thing in this was the story elements that happened, progressing the story of the separation between the Usos and Solo.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's good, too, that they got a win. And that's what Matt Riddle's in the match for, right? To eat the pin because you want to protect Zayn and Owens. But, Solo can't take a loss here because of what you have seemingly in store for him. So yeah, it was good. But like you said, tough spot coming after the craziness of Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. I think they put him in the spot though because they were like, Sammy's a big star, KO's a big star, the Usos are a big star. Like they'll keep the crowd hyped enough. Whereas if you might have had Omos and Seth Rollins or the triple threat for the United States title, it might have been a different reaction from the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. And then finally, Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. Um, there were reports Friday, I guess, it said that it was going to be a squash match. I don't know if you saw that, but
I didn't see any of that.
I was like, well, that would be dumb.
That's what I would do for the next one.
Yeah.
The next, so yeah, Brock and Cody at Backlash, I thought was good. The blood spot, obviously, that's why you have this thing go on last. You do that so rarely in WWE. You want to kind of protect that. I know he got busted open, I guess, the hard way, but the reports also said that blood was expected, and the ref didn't immediately throw in his gloves when the blood started happening. I'm
Yeah.
okay with blood in wrestling. We've talked about this before. I think it adds, when it's done right, it adds sort of a innate. Humans have always been kind of drawn to violence type of way. Like if you're watching a street fight, there's not a single person in this world that'll ever just like walk past it and not look at it. Like we're just drawn to violence in that kind of way. That's at the root of it. That's kind of the appeal of pro wrestling too. And so blood, especially down in Puerto Rico, if you're going to do it in any place and have blood, you do it down in Puerto Rico. It has a place in it. Had a place in this match. It made Cody look like a star even more because he has a bloody Brock Lesnar he's beating the shit out of. It made Brock look like a complete beast because he came back from it and just looked rabid and had Cody in the Kimura and looked like he was going to break his arm. And then Cody's not tougher, right? Cody was just a better wrestler, able to get him in the pin 1, 2, 3, and then Cody skirts out of the ring. And it looks like, based off the actions on Monday Night Raw, that they're going to keep this thing going. I wouldn't do the squash match. I wouldn't have done it at Backlash, but at Night of Champions, I think I have Brock Lesnar squashing Cody Rhodes in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And just beating the ever loving shit out of him, pinning him, and then you take this thing on to SummerSlam. You write Cody off television for a couple weeks, and I think at SummerSlam I'd put the two of these men in a Hell in a Cell.
Ooh.
And have Cody, if Cody's going to finish his story with Brock, he's got to do it in the place where his story really started, right? With the Hell in a Cell and the torn pec. Like, I think Cody Rhodes in the Hell in a Cell, that kind of needs to be his match in WWE.
Yeah. I mean, you might be onto something there.
And he can kind of go in as the underdog hero who's trying to overcome the, unsurmountable odds.
Yeah. I was watching Raw live that Monday night, and this will be sort of a transition into that, I guess. And friend of the show, Eddie, we talked about quite a bit when we started the show. He texted me like as the show started and was like, Brock's going to ruin it for Cody. He's like, calling it now. And then, of course, he did. So, Brock ruined Cody's chances for the Night of Champions tournament or whatever they did on the show that night.
And yeah, you could kind of see that coming because the finish at Backlash was in no way definitive.
Right.
Like when Cody beats Brock, he's going to hit him with some crossroads and put him down for the 1, 2, 3, standing over the top of him. He's not going to, just hit him with a roll up.
Right.
That's not how you're going to end this thing. So yeah, and it's a smart booking choice too because you don't want to just immediately, Cody, if he would have automatically just be the favorite to win the new world championship, it kind of doesn't mean anything, right? Because he's the dude that lost to Roman. Whereas, obviously Seth is in the finals for the new championship, and then coming up, if listeners are listening to this on Friday, coming up tonight, we'll see who from SmackDown is going to face Seth in that finals. I think Seth Rollins is the guy to win the championship first.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a smart choice too.
Who do you think faces him from SmackDown?
I don't know. Did they have it? Let me see if they even have a match. Did they announce the match card yet?
I don't think they have. I could be wrong.
Let's see if it has here. Yeah, I don't know.
Unless they did it today. I feel like it was blank when they showed the bracket on Monday.
So right now it looks like it is Edge, AJ, Rey Mysterio, and in one triple threat, and Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, and Sheamus in the other.
Mm.
When Roman Reigns, he is advertised for tomorrow's SmackDown. I don't know. Seth and AJ would be something. Do they do Seth and Rey Mysterio? Also with it being Night of Champions, you have to like factor in the whole. What is the Saudi Crown Prince? What is he? Who does he want to see? So he could be like, I want to see Rey Mysterio, and then you just fuck it. You let Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, go try to have a good match at Night of Champions.
Yeah.
But he's probably the guy.
I think Seth will be the one. I feel like we talked about that last week. So that I was glad to see that happen the other night. Eddie also said he feels like Seth will go full heel after he wins.
Oh, I don't see that happening.
You don't think so?
No. They're not gonna have two heels be your champions.
Oh yeah, I didn't think.
Yeah, Seth is, which is kind of funny because Seth was a heel, has acted like a heel.
He has
a baby face.
Yeah.
Just because the crowd was like, fucking Seth is funny and awesome, and we like him.
Yeah. He's done heelish things, though, like the going on Miz TV and beat the shit out of Miz 2 or 3 times in recent memory.
Yeah, but that's the most babyface thing you can do, right? It don't get more babyface than beating the shit out of the Miz.
Oh, well, that's true. That is true.
Maybe that was the turn. That's always the telltale turn in WWE. Like, if you just beat the shit out of Miz, you're now officially a good guy.
Yeah. One last thing I do want to comment on Monday Night Raw, that I was just laugh my fucking ass off. I had to rewind it and watch it again. Was Sammy and KO are in the ring, and the Imperium come down, and they're in the ring, and the music's still going, and they're doing their thing, their little posing or whatever. And KO's in the background, like giving the thumbs down and like shrugging his shoulders and like looking at the ref. It's like, what the fuck are they doing? Kind of just laughing my ass off. Just like straight at the hard cam, just thumbs down, thumbs down.
He's fantastic. He's great. I got one question for you before we move over to AEW, because I have to take any opportunity I can to talk about what is my favorite wrestler right now in WWE.
Dominic.
Yes. If Dominic was the head of the LWO, do you think it would be a bigger deal than what it is right now? And here's my reasoning. It was featured very heavily both Friday and Saturday with Santos Escobar and the other 2 guys coming out. Rey Mysterio has the LW shirt on. It seems like it's not taken off the way it maybe would have hoped it has.
Yeah.
And so is there more – and I don't know how you would even do this because Dominic is aligned with Judgment Day.
Yeah.
But I just think if Dominic Mysterio was the head of the Latino World Order, first of all, he'd probably be a babyface within like 8 months because people would start cheering for him again because he'd be so damn entertaining. And I'm not sure that might not happen anyway.
That could be how they take Ray out. Like when he retires, him and Dom, make amends and he passes. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but maybe that's how you turn Dom babyface.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the whole time I was watching it Saturday, I was like, man, if Dominic would have been the one to introduce the LWO shirts, yeah. I think it would be a way bigger deal because he is, in terms of entertainment factor, he's top 3 in wrestling right now. He's for sure in the top 5.
Yeah, it's funny though. Like, he's definitely got that heel energy, and like, obviously they've booed him out of the building the last few weeks, and like, we'll be in opposite rooms, and if he's on TV, I'll hear Jamie go, "I hate that turd" or some shit like that.
He's great, man. Yeah, well, the case study that we should do, at some point is just tracking Dominic's run for these last 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if gosh, outside of like what maybe Stone Cold, who had kind of like a meteoric rise that was kind of quick. The Rock. I mean, I can't, and I'm not saying that Dominic Mysterio is going to be the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, in no way, shape, or form. But like, he has had this sort of crazy run these last 12 months where we were on this podcast being like, something's off with Dominic, is not working, to now being like, there might be one or two people who are better on television right now than what he is. That's an insane glow up in a
Yeah.
very short amount of time.
Yeah. Whatever he's doing has worked for sure.
Whatever he's doing and whoever he's working with, like
Mm-hmm.
just all around the board, A pluses for everybody, pay raises, the whole 9 yards. And it probably does have a lot to do with him joining Judgment Day. A lot of this did start when he
Sure, yeah.
went with Rhea and Finn and Damian, and we know that it's like anything in life, man. You work with people, you pick up different things from different folks, and Finn's been all around the world, and Damien's been all around the world too. He's been in the business for a long time. Rhea Ripley is, a superstar, and at such a young age, she already has so much poise, both in the ring and on the mic, and so you kind of just pick up those things by osmosis, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm going to switch gears to Dynamite before we wrap up. Very interesting to see Miro back last night. There had been no teases or no rumors or anything that I saw that he was coming back, and he pops up, and they stop him to ask him what he has to say, and he's like, "I'm going to talk to the boss" or whatever, and he shows Tony Khan's door, and he goes in, and then in the next segment we got Thunder Rosa back, which was kind of out of nowhere as well. So I'm assuming that they were there to quote unquote talk about the new Collision show, and then Tony came on later to say that he had a big announcement to make next week, which we all know will be about the Collision official announcement, I guess, because there hasn't been one yet. But the thing I read today was that Rosa's still not ready to wrestle. So do you think they'll just have her back, like doing promos, or like do you think that surely she's close to being able to be in the ring if they're going to put her back on TV, right?
Well, I mean, if Collision's not until middle of June,
Right.
Because the announcement next week corresponds with the Warner Brother upfronts that they're going to have that morning. So the news will break out before Dynamite.
Sure.
Because they'll have those upfronts, I think, are at Madison Square Garden on May 17th. And we've heard reports that Warner Brothers is kind of over the moon with how well AEW is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a lot of utility in having things that people watch live, right? That's why networks pay out the ass for fucking sports, because it's like the only thing that people are watching live. So we'll know all the news before Dynamite. I mean, this Collision show's been like the worst kept secret in wrestling. Everybody's like, it's so bad that like it would have been hilarious if Renee was just like, "Hey Miro, what are you doing here? Are you going to be on Collision?" And he just walks into the thing like it's that obvious at this point.
Well, the other rumor that I read today, and I don't know if you guys saw it or not, about Collision was that Punk supposedly wants to do an angle with Samoa Joe to start off the show.
That'd be cool.
Which could be cool, yeah. So yeah, I didn't know if you saw that today or not, but I was like, because we had talked about like what could he do, and I hadn't thought about that yet.
Well, I mean, I've seen everybody from like Samoa Joe to Ricky Starks to Malachi, like everybody, like it's been everybody.
Yeah,
everybody's just throwing up tweets, be like, "Oh, be CM Punk, he wants to work with so and so," and it's like, well, I'm sure he wants to work with a lot of people, but there only can be one that's his program when he comes back.
Right.
It's still just crazy to me that if they indeed are having to split the rosters because a bunch of grown-ass millionaire men can't get along in a fake sport, I mean, it's just preposterous at this point. Now, They probably are working us to some extent, but I mean, this is still it's still crazy that this is the impetus for them having a fucking second show.
Yeah.
And not just being like the fact that we have such a big talent roster is the reason we're doing the show, but it's because of, we have a big talent roster, and it's because these 6 dudes can't stand each other and don't want to work with each other. Wild.
Did you see All Access last night?
I didn't know.
So there was a moment, and speaking of egos, the Bucks show up to the arena or whatever at last night was the end of the season for All Access or whatever, and it was big Coliseum there in LA, and they show up, and the security, whoever was checking stuff at the gate or whatever, was like, yeah, do you have your wristbands? And the Bucks turned around and were like, that's us on that truck back there, and like just pointed, and it shows the back of one of the production trucks, and it was them. And I thought that was kind of funny, but also a little egotistical. I'm like, it was probably a cooler way to do that, maybe, or maybe they just did it because they knew the cameras were on them. But on one hand, it's kind of funny. On the other hand, it's like, okay, you're kind of being a dick. These people are just trying to do their jobs, trying to make sure that like just nobody comes. I don't know. They don't know who the fuck you are. They're just getting paid probably minimum wage to.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought last night Dynamite was good. The trios match, the lighting was cool as hell. And Bandito was fucking just, he was on one last night. I thought overall there was a lot of good shit last night. It's getting to the point for me though with Orange Cassidy. Like, he had a good match with Daniel Garcia last night, but I'm like, I feel like they kind of need to shake that up a bit because they've had him out there like every fucking week, and my man looks tired.
Yeah, he's the workhorse of, if Moxley is the ace of AEW, Orange Cassidy has been the workhorse. I mean,
Yeah.
he is on there literally wrestling every single week, it feels like, in some kind of capacity.
I feel like he has on either Rampage and mostly on Dynamite because he's been out there defending that title.
Yeah, and he's made that title mean something. I mean, whoever he faces at Double or Nothing, if they do indeed decide to shake things up and have Cassidy drop the title to somebody, that's going to feel like a pretty big moment because he's been the dude for that championship. And, they've hot potatoed the TNT title around so much to where it really doesn't mean anything. I don't really give a damn about Wardlow and Christian Cage, although Christian Cage, trying his best and did get booed. People hate his guts too, with his promo Wednesday night. But like, that program doesn't have a lot of luster behind it. Like, do we really care? Like, I don't know. But with Orange Cassidy, like whoever it is, not only is he out there defending it, but the matches are good too. Just the consistency. He might not be putting on, 5-star matches, but I'd be damned if they don't drop below a 4 every single week.
Yeah, I mean, he gets after it out there. I just feel like he looks tired. Like, maybe give him a week or 2 off.
Yeah, here's what's probably crazy is that, like, it's like with anything, anybody's job out there. You're working hard, and you know how much you're being paid. But I bet, like, and I'm just saying this guy's name because he returned last night. A guy like Miro's probably making more money than Orange Cassidy.
Oh, for sure.
Which is just, that's how that's how resentment gets started.
Yeah.
You go, this motherfucker been sitting on his ass for 6 months, and I gotta be out here every week.
Well, Cassidy's contract has to be coming up soon, I would think, because of when he started.
And I think he's been on every single one of the house shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
everybody's not been on every single one of the house shows. He's on them too.
He'll get paid. I mean, he'll get a significant bump. I would, there's no way you don't pay that man.
But no, I mean, he is the epitome, I think, of AEW. People have jokingly called him the mascot in a derogatory way, but he is emblematic of like what AEW is.
Yeah.
This is a type of character that can only exist on our program. It's what the other side can't do. So yeah, he's deserving of every cent that he gets. Him and Garcia had a hell of a match too Wednesday. I love the little nuances of Garcia too. I love him doing his little hip dance thing. It's just great. He's kind of coming into his own too,
Yeah.
Daniel Garcia, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only got to the first hour of Dynamite, so I thought MJF had a hell of a video promo.
Yeah.
I know that all those guys kind of had the night off, and they gave each one of the pillars their own little video segment. But MJF comparing the four pillars to the Beatles and calling himself Paul McCartney, name dropping CM Punk, so you know that CM Punk's coming back if he's name dropping him. Name drop Cody Rhodes. And then one of the things that I was kind of struck by watching Sammy's package, and I guess if I would have just thought longer than 5 seconds about this, it probably would have come to my mind. He has had some crazy fucking spots in AEW.
Dude, I thought the same exact thing. I was like, just watching it, I was like, God damn, at the amount of memorable moments, like, and like you said, the crazy shit that he's done. I was like, he goes out there and just gives it his all. Like, his character is fucking annoying sometimes, but he doesn't leave anything in the fucking ring.
But that's what was so weird about his video package, is that it was almost not in character. It was almost the all access Sammy Guevara, not the Sammy Guevara that's been on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Because he was like, if you follow your heart and you follow your dreams, like that's literally not what we saw last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, and I honestly think that this is a better direction for Sammy to go. I think All Access has probably done him some favors with just ingratiating him with the fan base, because essentially what his character is on All Access is he's just a fan that made it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to connect with an AEW fan base. But yeah, that was the thing watching it. That was the two things that struck me about Sammy's package. It was like, wow, he's had a lot of awesome spots. The cutter off the ladder he did to Cody Rhodes is still one of the best ladder spots I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he was cutting his promo, I was like, oh, this is not his character.
Yeah.
That's a little continuity. And then I thought Darby's was great.
I didn't think they did Darby any favors with his music. The music on his was, it didn't fit. And I was like, did they watch this before they aired it? Or did somebody just edit it and turn it in without, I don't know, it just felt weird. The music felt off. The rest of it was good. Like, I really liked it. And I liked Sting being in there and everything, but like it just felt weird.
Yeah, so I'd have to go back and watch it again. I didn't catch the music part. I was also watching this while on my lunch break, and there was other shit happening, so I was halfway paying attention to that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I do want to spend a few minutes on the steel cage match. Did you get to see it at all, or you've seen anything online?
I saw the thing online, and I saw the big swerve. So yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just wild. Which you expected between these two guys, right? But the glass shit was like, everybody thought he was going to have tax, and it was sort of a callback to one of their last matches. But I don't know. I didn't see the swerve coming. Did you?
I did not see it a little bit, because Don Callis' whole thing has been he wants to represent Kenny Omega, the wrestling god, and not Kenny Omega, friend of the Young Bucks. And so Kenny going back with the Elite and doing the whole trios thing, Don Callis has kind of just been, they've planted enough breadcrumbs there to make it make sense and to make it still be surprising and not have it be totally out of the blue. Yeah. Which is what you want from any kind of narrative thing that you're, engaging in, be it wrestling, books, movies, whatever. So I thought it was great. It was a literal screw job. Also great, a great little nugget there.
Yeah.
It's going to be with everything like this. It's always what comes next.
Yeah.
Right. I think the big thing, and we've kind of hinted at this too, that Takeshita in the Elite doesn't really do it for us, But Takeshita and Blackpool Combat Club, well, now that becomes really interesting. And
I
so
don't know, man. I want him to be a face.
I think, but he's got that down though. Like he needs what his character is lacking. Well, I'll put it this way: in all of his matches, we've always commented on the fact that this dude's a physical freak, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's rarely has he ever exhibited that in a match. Whereas I think when he gets with Blackpool Combat Club, the thing that they can play on when he turns heel is that physicality. So he can start beating the shit out of people and diversifying his moveset, ass whooping people. Yeah. And so now I do not think that Don Callis will come with him to Blackpool Combat Club. If anything, I think what I would do, if I had the pencil, is I would have Takeshita and Don Callis, try to swarm up to the Blackpool Combat Club, and the Combat Club take in Takeshita but beat the shit out of Don Callis. And you write Don Callis off of AEW television completely. Similar to what you did with William Regal. Now, if Callis still wants to have a backstage role, he can.
Hey guys, sorry for the technical difficulties. At least we got through most of the show. Not sure what happened. I think it was a problem with Libsyn. Couldn't hear Patrick for a minute. He couldn't hear me, and then things went sideways, and little error messages started popping up while we were recording. So at least we got through most of the show. We appreciate you guys for sticking around, and get back with us next week. Thanks.